Here I go, here I go, here I go. Yeah, here I go, here I go.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to yet another episode of The Take. I'm your host, Jackson Burleson, of course. And in today's episode, we're going to start off with our play of the week. Let's do it. NFL Week 2, where there were a couple plays. I was kind of trying to pick which one I wanted. I was like, I kind of like this Bengals interception here. So this one that I'm going to show you guys is Cam Taylor-Britt. He's a cornerback for the Cincinnati Bengals, and he had this crazy one-handed interception over the rookie phenom, Xavier Worthy, who ran the fastest 40 yards in NFL Combine history for a 40-yard dash, by the way. But that's another conversation. Let's get to this play of the week.
Again, going down the field, and what an interception! My goodness, Cam Taylor-Britt pulled it down with one hand, and they have taken it away from Mahomes for the second time.
That's our play of the week this week, Cam Taylor-Britt. Give a quick shout out, just a nasty. He said Odell over the receiver and intercepted Mahomes. I mean, come on, how can you not like Patrick Mahomes throwing an interception, especially at his face towards the end when he just wants to go just snatch that helmet strap. But the Bengals still fell short, 26-25. They lost by 1 point. 1 point. The Bengals start 0-2, okay? They lost to the Patriots the week before that, 16-10 at home. And then the Chiefs, they've had 2 close games in a row now. They won 1-possession games 2 weeks in a row. That's pretty crazy. That's what the Kansas City Chiefs do. They keep winning the games they have to win. That's what sets them apart from the rest of the NFL, which is why I'm not budging a bit over, Hollywood Brown being out for the regular season and Pacheco being injured. I'm not concerned because you've got Patrick Mahomes. So you're going to get to the playoffs and you're going to be in positions to win a Super Bowl. So I'm not concerned about that. The Bengals, they play the Commanders on Monday night. They're still looking for their first win. The Commanders are 1-1. So the Bengals did look better than they did against the Patriots, but there's still some things they got to clean up. They're bad at the beginning of the season, but they seem to be able to figure it out. Bengals fans, hopefully they do. But let's move on to another storyline. Marvin Harrison Jr., the 4th overall pick in this year's NFL draft, went absolutely insane. This guy in the first quarter against the Rams this past Sunday had 4 catches, 130 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Oh, in the first quarter, in the first 15 minutes of the game. Like, that's insane. He is the 13th wide receiver in 33 years to have 130 yards in the first quarter. That's history. And what's more crazy about it is Harrison Jr. against the Bills had 1 catch for 4 yards in his first NFL game. In his first NFL game. It did not take him long. This is a generational receiver. This is the next Larry Fitzgerald. And coincidentally enough, he played for the Cardinals, so it's only fitting to put Harrison Jr. in that regard. And also, Marvin Harrison Jr. is already better than his dad. I mean, I know it's going to take a while for him to actually be better, but look at him. He's a completely different player than his dad was, and I think he's going to be more dominant. I mean, he's already dominating as a rookie. Now, the Rams' defense is not good, but I'll give it to Marvin Harrison. He had a tough week 1 and came back with a great, just absolutely great. I'm not even going to say great. Absolutely astonishing week 2. And I know my boy Ashton is going crazy over there because he's him. Marvin Harrison Jr. is him. And if there weren't so many quarterbacks in this draft, he probably would have went number 1. But let's go. I hate bringing this up. I'm not trying to dim the mood or anything because the NFL Week 2 was fantastic. There's so many games. But for my team, Dallas Cowboys, it was not a fantastic week. This defense was getting cooked. It was so bad. It was an embarrassment. It was an embarrassment. And what's crazy is our offense was actually moving the football. That's what didn't make sense. So before I get into the Cowboys' performance and go into extreme detail about what happened, let's hear from our $240 million quarterback.
And we weren't able to score touchdowns. I mean, we were able to move the ball up and down the field, but we couldn't score touchdowns. So I can't say that we were pressing necessarily. Going from last week to this week, as I said, there were some things that we wanted to get better at. We got better at third down this week, but now it's the red zone that I think we scored some touchdowns. It makes the defense feel a little bit better, and it's a whole different feel within the game for both sides of the ball.
96% of this guy's contract is guaranteed. That's actually mind-boggling to me. But, I mean, when you look at Prescott's stats, he threw for 293 yards. He was 27 of 39 passing. One of his 2 interceptions were his fault. The first interception he threw, the receiver just slipped. So I'll give him a pass on that one. But the second one, he threw it into double coverage. Some people in my TikTok comments were saying, "Oh, well, he threw it open. He threw to an open guy." Like, no, it was double coverage. And I know the safety came up, but that was a double coverage throw. And Dak Prescott, to me, was not the issue in this game. I will blame him a little bit, but we were moving the football. The only problem was the Cowboys just couldn't convert those field goals into touchdowns. I mean, we started out the game with 2 field goals, and then we were able to score touchdowns later, but it took a while for us to really get going. I mean, that Saints offense was just on fire. I mean, the Cowboys defense had no answer. None. This is the craziest thing, by the way. So the Cowboys allowed 35 points in the first half, which is the most in franchise history for a first half. And then we lost our 16-game regular season streak at home in this game. And this game is the second worst loss at AT&T Stadium ever for the Dallas Cowboys. You want to know what's first? The Packers game in the wild card round last season. So basically, we didn't get any better. Donovan Wilson is still getting cooked. He still does not know how to play defense. Rashid Shaheed cooked us. Alvin Kamara cooked us. Derek Carr cooked us. Chris Olave cooked us. Micah Parsons was a non-factor. This Saints offensive line was all over him. And they said it in the broadcast. The one place you want Micah Parsons is on the sideline. We put him on the sideline because he was so tired. He was so incredibly tired. Like, that can't happen. I can't be sitting here actually watching my team and then us going, "Oh, well, I think we're going to put up a similar performance." Like, this is back-to-back home games, technically. Our last home game was against the Packers, and then this one is against the Saints. Same result. Same exact result. I mean, this is disgraceful. I mean, it's just... You know what makes this even better? The Dallas Cowboys play the Baltimore Ravens this week. Yeah, thanks for that. Thanks for the NFL schedule. Who knew that the Saints offense would be this good in the first 2 weeks? We'll talk about them a little bit more, but the Dallas Cowboys, we have so much to clean up. And a lot of it's on the defensive side of the ball. I mean, our offense and our run game needs to be better. We can't have Rico Dowdle being our leading rusher. That can't happen. That can't happen. Unacceptable. I'm not even going to talk about this game anymore because the Cowboys just were disappointing. Disappointing. Jerry is misleading Cowboys fans. He is lying to our face. It's like me going to my grandma and going, "Hey, I think our team's going to we're going to be better than last year." Really? Who did you guys add? Oh, we added nobody. Then how are you going to be better than last year? We had the same issues. We didn't fix anything in the offseason. That's what I learned from this Saints game. It's going to be the same BS all over again. We're going to crap our pants in the postseason. I think this might be the worst postseason collapse. I'm not even going to say collapse because we're collapsing right now. And it's not even the postseason. We're going into week 3. It didn't even take that long. And of course, I see Stephen A. Smith laughing at our Cowboys, which, by the way, every time I see it, I have a hard time not laughing. As a Cowboys fan, I genuinely think it's funny when he goes, it only took 2 weeks. It was only week 2. Like, oh, gosh. I mean, it is just insane. Just insane, dude. What are we doing? Donovan Wilson. We need Deron Bland back. That's all I got to say. We need Leighton Vander Esch back. That's all I got to say. But let's move on to this week's JBs Picks, courtesy of Hard Rock Bets, the only betting app you can use in the state of Florida. Just go ahead, go to the discovery bar, search up any sport you want to bet on. You can bet on NFL, MLB, NBA, soccer, anything that's a sport you can bet on. You can do player props, you can do money lines, you can do spreads. But I'm going to go money line this week. And I'm going to go plus 125 Arizona Cardinals to beat the Detroit Lions. And I'm going to say this, that the Cardinals have looked really good offensively. They're second in the NFL in points per game at 34.5 behind the New Orleans Saints, who are at 45.5 per game. So if you heard that whole Cowboys segment, the Saints offense has been absolutely unreal, which we will talk about still later. The Lions are tied for 12th in points allowed per game at 20. I don't know. I mean, are we ready to give this Cardinals offense credit? I mean, last week they scored 41 points against the Rams, which was a good performance, but I'm not a fan of the Rams defense. I don't think the Rams defense is that good. But I like the Cardinals in this game. Plus 125. I think they can start the season off 2-1. I mean, they almost beat Buffalo. They lost by 6. They scored 28 points against Buffalo. And Detroit's probably the best defense they've seen in these first 3 games. So I'll say Cardinals will win. It'll be a close game. But the Lions offense has had their struggles, but the Cardinals defense isn't that great. So, I mean, we'll see what happens, but I'm going plus 125 for the Arizona Cardinals to win over the Detroit Lions. Tua Tagovailoa has no plans to retire. He's going to miss at least 4 games. The Dolphins put him on IR with that concussion. And Mike McDaniel, Dolphins head coach, came out, made a statement about Tua, and he was having a hard time coming up with words, really. So I'll let you guys hear this.
Two things did come from, the adversity. Super proud of teammates being teammates.
Yeah, it's tough. It's tough. I think Tua should retire. I mean, there's a 3 concussion rule in the NFL. There was actually a study done in 1952. The New England Journal of Medicine published a study on sports injuries, including football, and it states that patients who've sustained a concussion more than 3 times should not be exposed to further body contact trauma, according to the American Medical Association's Journal of Ethics. So this is obviously a real situation. This was Tua's 3rd diagnosed concussion since 2022 and his 4th since college. So this has been a repeating thing. And I'm not... Tua's going to do what he wants to do. But, I mean, for his family, for everyone around him, I mean, the future for this man is just not looking that bright after football. I mean, it's just tough. When your brain keeps taking those hits, doctors say you shouldn't be playing if you have those many concussions. And the more concussions you get, the more susceptible you are to them. And also the worse they get because your brain's more sensitive. When your brain mashes against your skull, it's like Jell-O hitting a coconut shell. I mean, that's what it is. And I also found something very fascinating. So the Miami Dolphins have a $49.3 million insurance policy on Tua Tagovailoa, according to the copy of his contract reportedly obtained by ESPN's Dan Garzano, which is interesting because the insurance policy is set to kick in if Tagovailoa is not cleared to play by doctors. And he is meeting with people this week, but it looks like he's going to try to come back and he's going to miss at least 4 games. But I just really don't think that's the right call for this guy. I just don't. And the hit that he took on that play was just, it wasn't even that bad. I mean, he hit the guy's forearm and then he hit the turf. Like that's not good. And then his hand froze up again, just like it did 2 years ago against the Bengals. I mean, that's concerning. Like, I'm just worried about the human being. Like, I don't really care if Tua plays football again. And I even said this like 2 years ago. He needs to retire. And he does. He really does. I don't really think there's any way that Tua can justify to his family, his team, his coaches, hey, I am fit to play football. I am fit to take a hit. This guy is too fragile. He can't take a hit. He proved that. And even if he slid, say the guy hits him when he's on the way down, he probably would have had concussion there too because his helmet would have hit the turf. So I don't think he should play. I really don't. There's a lot of science and stuff behind it that really backs up the reasons why he shouldn't play. So that's what I'm sticking him with right now. Carolina Panthers benched their first overall pick, Bryce Young. My goodness. I mean, this is just embarrassing. He was booed repeatedly at the home opener against the Chargers. And this is what the Panthers head coach had to say about making Andy Dalton the starter and benching Bryce Young.
This is something after I watched the film, I looked at it, had a thought, started working on talking to the guys that we make decisions with. Certainly a lot of parties involved there. And ultimately this comes on me, and my number one responsibility is to help the Panthers win. And so this move, I believe, puts us in the best chance to do that this week.
I think he's right. I mean, Bryce Young is 2-16 as an NFL starter. The Panthers scored 13 points in the first 2 games. I mean, that's a hard pill to swallow. I mean, the Panthers were down 30-0 at halftime against the Saints and then 20-0 against the Chargers. And the crazy part is Andy Dalton stepping in, and he's not that good. He's not that good. I saw him play on the Cowboys. Last time he was really a quality starter was when he was on the Saints, and he played 14 games. But Bryce Young, and I heard Stephen A. say this, that he's going to go down as the biggest bust in NFL history, which I'm not ready to say that yet because he has had so little time to just play football. And the Panthers aren't really a good team. They don't have a good roster. They were going to be bad to begin with. I mean, yeah, you can point the finger at Bryce Young and say, hey, like this team sucks or whatever. But, I mean, the team around him is not great. I mean, look who they gave up to get Bryce Young. I mean, they gave up DJ Moore. They gave up their first-round picks in 2023 and 2024, second-round picks in 2023 and 2025, which helped the Bears move up from the number 9 pick to the number 1 to get Caleb Williams. So if the Panthers were just patient, kept their picks, they could have gotten Caleb. But I'm not saying that Caleb would do great in Carolina. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying the Panthers didn't plan well for Bryce Young because they didn't have draft picks to build an actual team around this guy and maybe get him a good team his second year in the league. But I mean, you got Deontay Johnson now, but Adam Thielen, I mean, he's older. He's at the back end of his career. You got Chuba Hubbard in the backfield. I mean, he's not elite by any means. The Panthers' offensive line still struggles. Now, don't get me wrong. Bryce his numbers are bad, but how do you understand if it's the quarterback's issue? I mean, I know he's missing throws, but I feel like you got to give him a little more time. And, you know, benching him, a guy you invested your entire future in. I mean, if you don't see anything by week 5, fine. If he doesn't win you a game, fine. But, you know, keeping him in, I think is important. In my opinion, I think it's important. It's good for his confidence to keep believing in him. Keep believing a guy you gave up so much for. But now the Panthers are regretting 100% trading all those assets for Bryce Young. I mean, that might go down as the worst trade in NFL history. It seriously might. It's that bad. Like, I mean, look at that. I mean, you look at it on paper. Like, how do you give up that many picks? How? I don't get that. Like, you gave up 4 draft picks and then your best receiver at the time. I mean, that's insane, man. I don't really know what the heck's going on in Carolina. I'm glad I'm not a Panthers fan because it looks horrible. But let's end this. Let's end the podcast on this. Which 2-0 team is the most shocking? This is where I'm going to circle back around to the New Orleans Saints. They're 2-0. The Saints are the 5th team to score at least 40 points in the first 2 games of the season. And they're also the most recent to do it. And they did it in 2009 when New Orleans won its first Super Bowl. So kind of a cool coincidence there. But, I mean, are the Saints legit? I mean, are they really that good? I mean, we're about to find out. We don't have the clear-cut answer right now, but we're about to find out. I mean, their next 3 games are the Eagles, at Atlanta, who just picked up a huge win against Philadelphia, and then the reigning defending Kansas City Chiefs. So I think we're going to find out really quickly if the Saints are legit or not. But, I mean, this Saints team looked great. I mean, Alvin Kamara looked like he was back to his old form. He had 4 touchdowns. Derek Carr looked absolutely sensational. I mean, when you give that man time, he can be a good quarterback. He can. He started off the game like 7 of 9. I mean, he had a crazy touchdown to Rashid Shaheed that was just devastating as a Cowboys fan. But I mean, I'm like, dang, like, is this Saints team really that good? I mean, I don't know. Because it's different when you score 40 plus against the Carolina Panthers, who are the worst team in the league. But then you go do it against the Dallas Cowboys, who are not even close to one of the worst teams. I mean, that's a wake-up call for the NFL. I mean, that NFC South has gotten very interesting very quickly. Buccaneers 2-0. Saints 2-0. 43.5 points per game. Then you've got the Falcons, who just picked up a huge win against the Eagles. And they looked better. Kirk Cousins led a game-winning drive. So this division is very interesting. And I picked the Falcons. I'm staying with the Falcons. But, man, if the Saints offense can keep firing like this, it's a scary team. And that defense is no joke. That pass rush with Cameron Jordan is nothing to mess around with. Nothing. You've also got Tyrann Mathieu, who used to be one of the top players on the defensive side of the ball in the league. But he still is a very experienced player. So it's very interesting to see what the Saints can do this year. I mean, that's probably the one team that shocked me the most is like, whoa, the Saints are a good football team. But it's hard to evaluate them right now, this early in the season. I need to see these next 3 games for me to have a clear-cut answer. Are the Saints legit? I'm not sure yet. If they can consistently show me that they can put these kind of numbers up on the offensive side of the ball, then yes. but we have to see that consistency. We have to. But I appreciate you guys listening to this episode of the Take Podcast. I'm your host, Jackson Burleson, of course. I know I hadn't posted in a while. I've been really, really busy with school. I'm going to try to be posting a lot more. Week 3 this week. Let me know what games you guys are going to be the most tuned in for. I'm going to be pretty locked into that Lions-Cardinals game. I mean, I picked Cardinals money line plus 125. I mean, they've been really, really good. But let's see if my Dallas Cowboys can turn it around. They're at home against the Baltimore Ravens, who are coming off 2 pretty heartbreaking losses. So hopefully the Cowboys can get off to a 2-1 start and not a 1-2 start. That would be really, really nice. And I will see. Keep an eye on Andy Dalton in this Bryce Young situation, see how long that lasts. And then the Saints, are they really a legit team? Please let me know in the comments if they are legit football team. Okay? That's what I want to know in the comments. But I appreciate you guys listening to today's episode of The Take. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the notification bell, and I will see you guys in the next episode. Peace out.
Talk to me, baby. Talk to me nice. I'm from another world, baby, yeah. Broadway paradise. They think I'm way too cold, cause I put